Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another challenge video. So a lot of you guys may know the Flail weapon class in Elden Ring. It's known for its goofy Ash of War and underwhelming range and damage. It's also unique because it's one of the only weapon classes that is completely exclusive to Elden Ring. You can't find these in any of the other Dark Souls. It also happens to be one of the worst, if not the worst, classes in the game. So for these reasons, today, against all odds, I'm going to see if I can complete the Elden Ring Flail only challenge. Alright, check out my character. Dude looks like he took the most powerful uppercut known to mankind. Yeah, the side view goes pretty crazy. And his name is Jonkler, don't ask me why. So yeah guys, today we're starting the Elden Ring Flail only run. Now this isn't like a normal Flail only run, we're going to be using just the normal basic Flail for the entire game. And don't worry, for those of you that were wanting to see some Dark Souls 3 after I finish this challenge, that's coming up next. What's up, Scion? So yeah guys, just to set a couple rules for this run. For one thing, I'm going to try to do every single remembrance boss in the game. Within reason, I don't know if we can do Rykard. We're not going to be doing any bugs or glitches. And I'm only allowed to use the basic flail that you get at the beginning of the game, and I can only do damage from the basic flail, and also no summons. So I'm pretty sure the flail is like quite literally just right over here. It's like right one of the first weapons you get in the game. So fun fact, you actually need 18 dexterity to properly wield this weapon, meaning that we were gonna have to go farm some bosses. There he is, the Tiba man. So normally I wouldn't show like a little side boss like this, but this guy was actually fairly difficult. Obviously because, like I said, we can't properly wield our weapon. I tried a lot of strategies with this guy. I actually died a couple times. The boss actually isn't hard itself, you know, it's just the ads that he summons, and it takes like a solid 5 to 10 minutes to kill this guy. Mainly because you just gotta try to find the opportunities that you can actually go in and attack him. But yeah, if you let this guy live long enough, he will actually spawn like a private army of skeletons. It's actually just insane how many he can spawn. Nonetheless though, he does go down fairly easily. Alright, so I might try out, I think this is the pumpkin head. He's got pretty long combos. So this was my second boss in my quest to get enough runes to finally get 18 dexterity. This boss is actually really enjoyable when you actually do not that much damage. Normally when you would fight this guy, you would just completely melt him, and you don't really get to enjoy a lot of his moveset normally. But I do think something like this does sort of expose a fundamental flaw that Elden Ring does have. Even though I do love this game, I do think the balancing is just not really that good. I feel like your first encounter with the Pumpkinhead, even though it is spread throughout the game, you see this enemy quite a lot. I think it should be actually somewhat difficult the first time you fight him to make it somewhat memorable, instead of just some enemy that you're gonna see 20 different times and be like, oh, okay. I learned that you could just kind of poise cheese this guy by spamming charge attacks after you do a visceral. Still though, he goes down fairly easily. He took me probably 3 or 4 tries. That was actually quite enjoyable, I will say. So we can finally level up to dexterity level 18, and I can also upgrade my flasks, as I've done just a little bit of exploration, not much. And I think it might not be a bad idea to go ahead and try Margit. The damage isn't bad, guys. It's not bad. Let's try the Ash of War. Hey, I got to second phase, so that's not bad. But I think I am gonna go get some upgrades first. So I decided to go on just a little quest to get some buffs to make my life a little bit easier with Margit. First I got the Cragblade Ash of War. It gives you plus 15 physical attack power and plus 10 stance damage. Then I went to Dragon's Barrow and I killed this big dragon here. He doesn't even attack you. If you do bleed damage, then you can just completely cheese him and you can get 20 free levels out of this. It's actually ridiculous. Then I went ahead and got Radagon's Sword Seal. This will give you plus 5 in every single attribute, but you take just a little bit more damage. And with all that together, I decided it was finally time to come back to Margit. As you can see, I was just doing a completely ridiculous amount of damage to this guy. Probably doing twice as much as I was doing before. Really, this weapon actually isn't that bad for the early game. Being able to bleed proc helps quite a lot, but really the problem is it just doesn't scale that well. Still, even with all these buffs, Margit still gave me a little bit of trouble. Learned that I need to be more aggressive with him, and you can just kind of hit trade with this guy. So though, it's really crazy just to think how far From Software has gotten to make this like one of the first bosses in the game. Like, this would honestly pass as like a final boss of Dark Souls 1. It's that difficult in my opinion. Just really the standards have been upped for difficulty. It's kind of weird because I think his second phase is honestly easier than his first because he does this huge like slam attack, and there are a couple attacks that are just, in my opinion, more easily punishable. Also, I'm coming back from Dark Souls 1, which has a much slower paced combat, so it is somewhat hard to adapt and get back used to that really aggressive, fast playstyle of Elden Ring. So for the first boss, that honestly wasn't too bad. But the thing is with this build is it's going to be easier in the early game. The Flail does not scale well at all into the end game. So at this point in the video, I decided to get the turtle shield that will give me extra stamina regeneration, and I got the axe talisman, which helps with jump attacks. So after getting a few buffs, I finally decided to make my way to Rick. Having this great turtle shield was kind of a lifesaver because, for one, it gives you increased stamina regeneration, and two, it helped me get through the castle relatively unharmed, and helped me save a lot of time. Alright guys, luckily I was able to get through the castle. Turtle shield is really great for that, but it's time to fight Godric. This should be fairly easy, considering all the items and buffs we have now, and I think we're fairly over leveled, so... Godric is actually, I would say, easier than Margit, but he still can be challenging sometimes. Hey guys, remember when I just said that this was easier than Margit and it shouldn't be too hard? That was a lie, because this took me almost 45 minutes just to beat this guy, and almost half an hour just to get to the second phase. We got to phase 2, baby! Let's go! This boss fight is so cool, man. It is. Honestly, it's one of my favorites. No way, dude, no way. So admittedly, I almost crashed out on this boss. I was getting a little aggravated, mainly because there was just these two attacks, the wind. There's this wind charge attack where he'll twirl his axe a couple times in the air. And I don't know how you can see how this attack is coming. You'd honestly just have to dodge every single time that he raises his hand in the air. And there's also these tornado projectiles he'll send after you, but I think that was more just my fault. But at the same time, this is the same thing as Margit. I feel like this is just easier in the second phase, because he will do this big flame attack, and all you do is just run up to him, and it's just a free 2 or 3 hits. It's kind of crazy. He still is a very satisfying boss to complete and learn all of his moves. He really is just one of the best fights in the game. The music, the atmosphere, everything about it is just excellent. Sit down! Sit down, boy! Sit down! You know, it pretty much came down to I just really overcomplicated the fight. Really, I was just trying to pull off those charge attacks, but really I should have just went with the old classic jump attack spam. Also, spamming R1s with this is pretty good too, because you can proc bleed. Well, there's Liurnia of the Lakes. I think all we gotta do is make a beeline for the dragon, get the key. Really, we shouldn't even have to fight this guy. We can probably just walk past him. Alright, here we go. Honestly, getting to the boss is gonna be harder than fighting the boss itself, more than likely. See, look at this. I'm gonna spam him with projectiles. Hey, yeah, this is so much fun. How is this fun? How do people like this? Just spam 25 different projectiles at once, bro. It's so much fun. Wow. I love mages. Alright, so this time to get to an easy lick. He only does half my health bar, guys. It's really not that bad, bro. Trust. See, even the dog is an int spammer, dude. Alright, if you actually, like, try to attack me and not spam projectiles, this fight would go way different, buddy. Like, it's so cheap. It's just cheap, man. Like, it's so terrible. Like, how you can't dodge that. There's no way to dodge that. Why is my character doing a charge attack? So I ask that you guys please excuse my saltiness, as I was just having a bad day today, and this boss just kind of compounded that. So this boss is like a combination of all the bad things you could possibly have in a boss. For one, it's just constantly running away from you. Two, it has some poorly projected attacks that come out so fast that there's no way you can know that they're coming, like on your first attempt. Yeah, like I said, it spams projectiles, so like if you get hit by a melee attack, it has projectiles queued up that are gonna damage you. Bitch, I hate you. Bitch, I really hate you. Any boss that just uses a ton of projectiles is just really unfun to me. I'm sorry, maybe it's just not for me. I don't know. Yes, there we go. Now fall to your death. I can either see this being one of the easiest fights or like one of the hardest fights and no in between. Hopefully we can just end this quickly. So luckily I was able to first try Renala. Really, I don't understand the point of this boss, because you can just run up to her and you can stagger her over and over. She can't really do anything. Yeah, she might summon something and you might get unlucky with like some wolves. But most of the time she'll just spawn like in a dragon or a giant and you can just completely just keep wailing on her. There's really nothing much to it. Damage really isn't a huge aspect of this fight if you can just keep on stun locking her. Yes, I will say this is a visually cool fight, but there really isn't much more to it than that. Easy. Easy for the god gamer. Big level 40, let's go. Again, I went to go get some buffs. I got the Claw Talisman, that will give me extra jump damage, and then I fought this Crystallian. He will give you the Miner's Bell Bearing, which you can use to buy smithing stones for weapon upgrades. I upgrade my weapon a couple times. Then I went to the river, and I was under the impression that the Ancestor Spirit was actually a Remembrance boss. I think there's actually two of them. I think there's a Regal Ancestor Spirit, that's the Remembrance. But either way, I guess it was good for some souls. If anything else, it was just kind of a waste of time, though. Then after getting both medallions, I finally made my way to the Altus Plateau. I also picked up this Raptor's Feather armor, which gives me plus 15% jump attack damage, pretty huge. Alright guys, say hello to the hardest boss in this whole video, the Draconic Tree Sentinel. In total, I probably spent almost 2 hours on this boss alone, and really it's difficult for the same reasons that other Elden Ring bosses are difficult, in the fact that it has a lot of different timings for just a single attack. It also has multiple attack chains and optional continuations of those attacks, which by the way, almost all of them either 1 to 2 shot me. Almost every single attack in the second phase one-shot me. Now you might be asking yourself, hey, why didn't you go upgrade your gear? I just really didn't feel like it. You know, looking back, I only had +1 on my Crimson Flask, which is crazy. I don't know why I didn't go back and upgrade it. I also just have somewhat of an ego with these types of games, because the Souls genre is pretty much the only genre of games I play anymore, so I just felt like I had to beat him here and now. The way I see it, this boss was designed to gatekeep you, entering the capital, making sure that you're high enough level or high enough skilled. But honestly, it's even harder than Godfrey, and probably Morgott in my opinion. At least I can respect that this almost has like an instant run back, so it's not really that grueling to do this fight. Like if this fight was in Dark Souls 3 for example, it would probably have like a 20 to 30 second run back, and that would absolutely drive me nuts. And that just goes for a lot of bosses in Elden Ring. They have really short run backs, which makes them more enjoyable, and I think they can make it more difficult if it has a shorter run back. I would rather take a harder boss with a short run back than an easier boss with a long run back. The strategy I used for this was just once again jump attacks. I was able to, if I did 3 quick jump attacks in succession, I would stagger this guy and I can get another jump attack in, which that was my strategy, just to play aggressive and get as many poise breaks as possible. Oh my gosh. It's finally over. An hour and a half on Draconic's Tree Sentinel. Like, we really spending an hour and a half on Draconic's Tree Sentinel in 2025. We're off to a bad start, guys. Big. I think that's like +5 strength, +2 strength. That's still pretty big. Okay, I think this is Godfrey, yes. Not a hard boss. Kill him within 30 minutes, you know? Something like, oh yeah. Thing is, I don't think you can make him bleed because he's a projection, so... Man, all my attacks are just whiffing. That hitbox is crazy. So Godfrey is probably one of my favorite bosses in Elden Ring, if not my favorite. He's quite literally the perfect boss. The difficulty is fun too. He doesn't do any really long delayed attacks for the most part. Yes, there is some. His animations are smooth and snappy. If I did have to critique this boss, I would probably say that it does have some weird hitboxes like you just saw. I don't think it clearly enough shows the punish windows, but besides that, it's an absolute S tier boss for me. All the difficulty came from this boss was just trying to find the right punish windows. I kept getting attacked while I was trying to hit him. Also, my brain was kind of playing tricks on me. I was forgetting that you can just jump over the big stomp attacks. This still probably took me close to an hour. It was also a little bit more difficult because, like I said before, I can't bleed proc this guy, but either way he goes down. Godfrey is great. It's just the same with the Draconic Tree Sentinel. I just get really salty.
Have it writ upon thy meager grave, felled by King Morgoth, last of all kings.
Okay, so for the last boss of this video, we have Morgoth. So I did finally decide to bite the bullet, go collect all 9 of those sacred tears I haven't gotten yet, and upgrade my flasks. I also upgraded my flail. I got about 4 or 5 levels out of that. Also, I'd like to hear you guys' suggestions on how to make this build better, as I'm not great at making some of these weirder builds in Elden Ring. Morgoth is just a very weirdly balanced boss, as it's significantly easier than both Godfrey and the Tree Sentinel. I think they went with more of a cinematic approach with this boss, and they just kind of put the difficulty second. Whenever I play this on a normal playthrough, I literally melt this guy within like 7 or 8 attacks. He's actually so undertuned. Also, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like his attack patterns with the sword that he has now are just easier than with his staff that you get on his first fight. It also kind of makes me wonder if they maybe wanted this fight to be purposefully like very easy, so you feel like your character is more powerful, like you're actually becoming an Elden Lord maybe. I mean, I've already said my piece about game balancing, but like, come on, if they can come back and nerf Concert Radon, they can come back and buff Morgoth. Like, come on, guys. Goodbye, Morgoth. I just wish he was a little bit more tankier, I guess. We're maybe like a quarter of the way if you're like including all the remembrances. I haven't done a lot of them, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy about ending it here. So yeah, if you guys want more, make sure to hit the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one, and have a good 2025.